No, Mikey, he's been away for
I don't know.
about a week.
Find out. Okay, Tanya, and then we got a big chumash. So let's do Tanya for Wednesday, the 11th of Sivan. Sunday, Wednesday, page 84. We start chapter, page 85, 86. 86, Wednesday. So here's how we came to this place. We are talking about, in chapter 1, the idea that the world has constant creation. Idea of Perek Beis, chapter 2, explain the logic why there should be perpetual creation, not a one-time, creation that just runs an autopilot. Number 3, we start chapter 3, and now you can understand that everything that exists in the world is nothing other than an extension of God, of God's activating force. Today we give a parable for this. How something can be something, but not an independent something. Right? That meaning not just an independent, it's a totally dependent something. It's something that's dependent on something bigger than it,
Hashem.
constantly.
Hashem.
Right, but let's qualify what this means.
Uh-huh.
An illustration of this is the light of the sun, which illumines the earth and its inhabitants. This illumination is the radiance and the light which spreads forth from the body of the sun and is visible to all as it gives light to the earth and the expanse of the universe.
But the rays can't exist without the sun.
Correct.
Okay, it's obvious that this light and radiance, these rays, they must exist not 93 million miles away on planet Earth only, but they must exist within the orb of the sun. Within the orb, how did this chair always make its way? It's amazing.
Sorry.
It's obvious this ray, this light, is the rays that come in our windows must be in the orb of the sun. If they originate there, for if it can spread forth and shine to such a great distance, we said 93 miles, and 93 million miles away, then surely it can shed light in its own place. However, what's the difference of the way we see the sun in our sunlight, in our sun room, versus the way the rays exist before they shine outward? In its own place, in the globe of the sun, the sun globe, this radiance is considered nothing and complete nothingness. For it's absolutely non-existent in relation to the body of the sun globe, which is the source of this light and radiance. Inasmuch as this radiance and light is merely the illumination which shines in the body of the sun globe itself. It is only in the space of the universe, under the heavens and on the earth, where the body of the sun globe is not present, that you see an independent beam of ray, of light. And this light and radiance appears to the eye of all beholders to have actual existence. And here too, when the ray is far away from the globe of the sun, you can call it a yesh. 2 Hebrew words you got to know for today: yesh and ayin. Maybe 2 more words later, but yesh means existence, ayin means non-existence. Whereas when the ray is inside the source in the body of the sun, the term existence cannot be applied to it at all. It can only be called non-existence. Not and non-existent. There is indeed absolutely non-existent, for there only the source, the luminous body of the sun, gives light, and there's nothing besides it. I wonder how it works in science, Gary, like, when does light become light? It must exist in the sun I don't know how it works. But the point is, it must exist inside the light bulb if it can go far away from the light bulb. But you don't see the beam as independently relevant because it's subsumed, that's the word, subsumed in the source of light. So we come out that it's there, it must be there logically. If it can be 93 million miles away, it must be at the origin point in the globe of the sun. But what? You don't see it because it's subsumed by the source. The exact parallel to this illustration is the relation between all created beings and the divine flow of the life force. Open the window. Need some stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. The created beings themselves are made like a diffusing light and effulgence from the flow and spirit of God, which issues forth from him and becomes clothed in them and brings them from naught into being. All creation is like a beam of light compared to the source of light. Hence, their existence is nullified in relation to their source, as the light of the sun is nullified and considered naught and utter nothingness, and is not. You don't call, oh look at the sun. There's the beam of light. You see the bowl, the globe of the sun, even though it must be there. So it comes out, it's there, but it's non-existent because it's subsumed. The key word is subsumed.
Mean by subsumed?
Yeah.
There's a ray of light inside the origin source, the globe of the sun, but it's non-discernible, right? Why is it non-discernible? Because it is subsumed within the source.
I don't know what you're saying, Rabbi.
Yeah, the analogy to light is confusing me because there's this source when we're talking about light, and of course, and I think Alan probably knows more about this than I do, but then it takes a while to get to us in a sense of there's travel time and so on, and it's not like when you're looking at the sun and there are rays. Those rays are taking a while to get to us.
About 8
That
to
doesn't
10
change anything.
No, I get it. It's taking 93 million miles.
It doesn't change
Yeah.
anything.
It takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds to travel the 93 million miles to Earth.
Whoa.
The point he's saying is that I'm looking at NASA. Too much science for me in one. Deep in the sun's fiery core, atoms fuse and create light. Fusion occurs in the sun's innermost core when two atoms merge, releasing energy and light in the process. Okay. Fusion of photons of light are first created in the sun's center. Over thousands of years, the photons travel a drunken walk, zigzagging their way from atom to atom until they reach the surface. Whatever. This is
Right.
whatever. Who cares?
What are they having
The
trouble
light
with?
created deep in the sun's core eventually emerged on the surface where it can be observed for the first time. And okay, the main point we're trying to say is like this: is that sun is too scientific for me. A light bulb. A light bulb has rays that light up the room. You must logically say the rays exist in the filament or whatever, in the source. Okay? But you don't see these independent rays, right? You don't see you'll notice a ray of, let's say a flashlight.
You
Right?
do see it. What do you mean you don't see it? You see it as soon as the
Flashlight.
people.
Yeah,
Let's take a
that would
flashlight.
go to that.
Let's take a flashlight. I'm trying to make it as simple for myself. A flashlight, you see a nice beam of light. Would you agree that that beam of light must exist inside the bulb before it goes out to the darkness?
No, would
Why
not.
Where does it come from? How could it not be there?
You're saying light. The light energy is produced when the electrons in the filament are accelerated. Any charge you accelerate will produce light.
Okay, so are they there at the origin point after they accelerate? Are they there? Is there
You produce light.
Okay.
They're being produced at the source.
Right, they're being produced at the source, so they're
That's
there. So they're there, right? I mean, on layman's terms for myself,
Yeah.
once they're produced, they're there in the source.
No, they're there and they're moving. They're constantly motion.
Okay.
They're moving toward. They're propagating away from the source in all directions.
Okay.
Mhm.
Some of it gets to us.
I'm missing the point. I'm saying, is there light in the source, or is it only away from the source there's light?
The light is being produced at the source.
So it's there.
It's not there. It's produced by the source.
Okay. So where is the light coming from then?
The light is propagating, the energy is propagating, and some of it reaches our eyes, which are sensitive to light.
Right. Okay. So when it's being propagating, is there light there? When is the first point of light? I'm asking. When is there the first?
When the light, some of the light interacts with your eye, with your retina. Your retina is just another, the electrons in your retina, when they move, they propagate signals through your nerves, and the nerves go out, and the signals go out through the optic nerve into your brain.
You're right in one sense, Rabbi. It does get a bit complicated because it's almost like, you get into the philosophy of if nobody hears what is a tree falling in the forest, is it actually falling? In other words, like you're speaking, but if nobody can hear you speaking, is there really any generation of sound? I mean, it's the same sort of thing. I mean, if nobody's there to see the beam, is it really being sort of, whatever?
Well, what makes it exist is like the rabbi is saying, it's God that makes it exist.
No, but God makes nature, so we don't understand within nature. We're not blaming on God right away.
Without God, there is no existence in the first place.
No, agree, but we're trying to bring an example from something empirical to us, and then we can extrapolate to God. That's the goal, to make it more real.
I'm not understanding what you're trying to do then.
So we're trying to give an example within light, rays, and light source, the sun being the example, but it exists even with a light bulb, right? A light bulb has
a source of energy for electrons. The electrons are primarily the producers of the light.
Okay.
When they move, they radiate light. They're just as soon as they change their mode, when they accelerate, that's what produces the light.
Fine. I think this is, I don't really understand that. I mean, a little bit you're saying I get, but I'm looking at a light bulb in the ceiling. I see also that if I turn the light off, the floor gets dark. So there must be a ray from the bulb that goes to the floor, right? If the room was too big, it wouldn't go the full room. It would go to a point and it would stop.
To the floor. When you turn off the current to the light bulb, that's when you turn off the energy to the light bulb. I
understand light and energy. I know I think what you're adding is that energy is intertwined with making light, and I get that. But I'm saying I don't even go to that sophistication.
It's not sophisticated. It's very simple. You use energy. You yourself are using energy every other sentence I've heard you.
So what I'm saying is that wherever the energy converts to light in the source, okay, there's a point where there's a abundance of that light,
right?
From which we'll call that abundance of light source, from which it streams out to a certain distance.
All directions.
But it stops at a certain point.
Distance is almost as infinite when it comes to us. It's virtually an infinite amount of distance.
I'm saying a weak bulb in your lamppost in your yard. Let's say you have a big yard in the dark and there's no moonlight. The bulb has a certain reach and it stops, right?
It doesn't have a reach. What do you mean a reach? The bulb? Oh, you're talking about the confines of the bulb itself.
No. I'm saying it only lights up a certain distance. Is that correct?
that you can see, but the light that goes way beyond that, way beyond the atmosphere of the Earth, way beyond. Some of it goes way out into space.
David said we have a long chumash, so we can't go too much in this. So I'm going to stick with what I basically understand is that the main point you got to take away is that a source of light has to have the rays there.
No, that makes no sense.
Okay, I don't know. To me, it sounds pretty reasonable.
Makes no sense. Go ahead.
So if the rays can go 93 million miles away, they have to be at some level close to the sun also, within the orb or the beginning of the orb, whatever it is, or the exterior of the orb. But they're there in an undifferentiated way. They're subsumed within the abundance of light in the source. So too, we go to an example with Hashem, creation. The Kabbalists used the metaphor of source of luminary and light and rays of light. It's also a metaphor. God's not light; it's a different type of energy to begin with, but they give them the nickname light. Why? Because it shares certain aspects with light. Is that there's different reasons why the Kabbalists like the term light, but so those rays of light that are what's giving us the rays of God's animating light is what gives us existence. It must exist in God in a even more powerful way. It is not referred to as existing when it is within its source, only beneath the heavens where its source is not present. In the same manner, the term existence can be applied to all created things only as they appear to our corporeal eyes. For we do not see nor at all comprehend the source, which is the Spirit of God that brings them into existence. Therefore, it appears to our eyes that physicality, materiality, and tangibility of created things actually exist. Just the light of the sun appears to exist fully when it is not within its source. But in the following respect, the illustration is apparently not completely identical to the object of comparison. So basically, the same way you can appreciate that the sun rays have independent, they appear like a ray. You can maybe analyze them. That's when they're outside their source. Inside their source, they're not discernible because they're subsumed. But so that's, we compare God's, we are beams of God's light.
Right.
We only appear existent because we seem to be outside the source. Mm-hmm. Just like the ray of the sun has existence outside the source. But when we're in our source, when the ray of sun's in its source, and by analogy, when we're in our source, we would be subsumed and we'd be undiscernible as existence. You wouldn't call it existence. You'd call it, it's there, but it's non-existent because it's undiscernible. Existence means something has parameters. If you're saying, oh, it's undifferentiatable inside the greater whole, but it's there.
Well, you're differentiating between production and perception.
I don't know what that means.
Well, you're saying when you're in the bulb, let's keep with the bulb. When you're in the bulb and you're producing it, you're not perceiving it. When you're outside of it and you see the rays coming from the bulb, then there's perception. Right. So it's like you're hearing the tree falling in the forest when you're outside.
Right. The distance creates the distance from source creates the perception of something.
Sounds good.
Okay. However, this parable breaks down. It's not completely identical with the object of comparison. Because in the case of the sun, there's a place of inside the source, inside the orb of the sun, and then there's 93 million miles away where you're outside the source. So there's a time when the ray of light is non-existent because it's subsumed. And then there's a time when the ray of light has existence because it's outside, it's not subsumed. By contrast, in creation, we are not outside of God. We are always within, our light beams are always within the source. We're always within God. And it's only that the source is not visible to our physical eyes. So we're not really outside of God. We, in a sense, don't really have, we are subsumed. But the question is, if we're subsumed, then how do we feel, how do we see existence of ourselves and anything? You should be undiscernible in the greater whole, which you are now within. Why are we not nullified if we're within the source?
Hashem.
To understand this, tune in tomorrow for some prefatory remarks that are necessary.
Yeah.